from Virginia International Raceway. Christian Chandler swept both events at Mosport, matching his performance from week 1. Can he keep his streak alive and be the first ever 3-time winner in NASA GT Americas? Can Jimmy Mullis keep his competitive spirit going with a strong showing from last week? We've seen some great racing in both fields this season. Over in GTE, Josh Krog looks to go back-to-back, but Janney still holds the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. We've got 60 minutes of racing coming up here from VIR for the Apex Technologies Grand Prix. I'm Chad Irvine, and here with me is not Mike Berry as usual. We've got Sindre Silva, rallycross driver, as well as former NASA GT America's competitor. It's going to be an exciting race ahead of us, Sindre. What are your thoughts on the season so far?
I've been watching. I've not been driving so much the GT series, so I've been watching them, and it looks like great racing out there and really respecting each other. So it's gonna be fun to watch this from the commentary booth point of view.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a different track than usual here. It's very tight, very twisty, and a lot of grass, so there's not a lot of traction once you go off track. There's a track map for you. A lot of long straightaways as well. 3.27 miles open in 1957, closed down in 1970, and reopened in 2000. 17 turns, a lot of them really slight twists along the straightaway, as we see some qualifying action going on right now. Drivers will get 3 laps over 10 minutes to set their starting spot for the 15-minute sprint. It's definitely going to be interesting out there. Any corners there that look interesting to you, Sindre?
I will pull up the little track map that we've got here. I've seen some of the corners on some of the live streams from the person driving this event today, and I think it's the snake, the 7th, 8th, 9th corner there. That looks really fun, like back and forth kind of thing. Looks like fun to drive alone, but driving side by side, it could even be a better fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting track, especially there's so many hills along this course. It definitely makes things interesting. One of the most notable corners on this track is actually the 11 and 12 complex, the hairpin known as Oak Tree. You will know that one when you see it because of course, the big oak tree. That right there. Perfect timing as I bring it up. It's such a beautiful tree. Unfortunately, not there in the real world anymore. It was struck by lightning a few years back, and they unfortunately it fell across the track. But it still lives on here in iRacing, and you know I think that even with the tree gone, that corner name has to stay.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's iconic to see that tree there, for sure.
And first times coming through, Ray Kingsbury goes to top, but right away beaten by Michael Janney and Cody Cosgrove. Let's take a look at our weather for today's race. Track looks pretty clear. Temperatures are down from what they were earlier in the show. As sorry, I'm losing train of thought here. Track temp 71, humidity at 0%. Winds very, very slight. Not what we saw last week with a track temperature of about 80 degrees.
And also that when we are watching the track map here and looking through all the corners and stuff, we have the T1 here, and that's it's gonna be fun to see all these cars going through there. Without trying to touch each other. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, there's a look at Christian Chandler, the points leader in the GT3, the AM class there for Team iRacing. He's put on quite the show so far. He's won both features. He won both sprints so far, and he's really come out and doing his employer, doing them proud as he's running. He does work for iRacing, doing a great job. He also put on a fantastic show last week, battling back and forth with Jimmy Mullis basically the entire race.
Here we can see the qualifying also going in here. Janney coming in with the pole.
Yeah, still a lot of time remaining here in qualifying. They do get 3 laps instead of what you'd normally see in official sessions, which is 2. Um, as we got under 4 minutes to go, but drivers still working on maybe their second or third laps. So Challenger on pole right now in the AM class as well. And then Archer, Carroll, Zach Novak, LaPrade, Fuellner, Terrio, and Rawls. A lot of drivers still in the AM class not turning laps. The one that surprised me, Jimmy Mullis, who's put on a great season so far. I think second in the points. Unfortunately, not yet setting a lap. And it looks like it's just such a technical track. They're getting laps that are invalidated as they go about their run. So any slight bobble, any off track, whether you cut the corner or maybe just drop a tire, it invalidates your lap. Your lap time does not count in that scenario. And that is huge as if you don't set a lap, it's going to be interesting to see because those are where you start on the grid is very important, especially in a race like this. The sprint race is such a short one, but it's so important on where you start. And it also does set your where you start in the 45-minute feature as well. Kingsbury still sitting mid-pack, P5 in GT Pro. That's Ray, and then further behind in 8th is his brother Matt. They're running different cars this season. Last season we saw both of them in the Corvette. Team Spark splitting up into 2 different divisions this season, with Matt Kingsbury now going P6 in the Ford, then Ray in the Corvette. They were all running the Corvette last season, but now with the way that the car handled for Matt, he decided to make the switch and took a couple drivers with him. So let's take a look here at our points standings so far in this season. We're only a couple of events in, but that's a look there at the Simracer Coin Pro drivers standings. It's Janny on top, 1 point ahead of last week's winner, Josh Fogg. Ray Kingsbury, last season's champion, is in third, just 3 points back. A bit of a gap there to Blake Reynolds, and then Ivan Pandev in 5th. Then Fanning, Ragster, Hashimi, Lane, and Jack Belton wraps up your top 10 there, as well as the Red Kite Virtual Motorsports Drivers Championship for the AM class, where it is Christian Challenger on top after dominating the first 2 events of the season. And then Jimmy Mullis, 27 points back, quite the gap there for Challenger. And then it's Peter Houston, Anthony Burrows, and Clark Archer, 5th, 49 points back. Then Brandon Lambert and Zach Novak tied for 6th. Then Kieran Forrest, Seth Rawls, and William Calhoun wraps up your top 10, 80 points behind Christian Challenger. Yep. And now we also do have our team championships. This is the Spark Virtual Racing Pro Team standings. The top 5 are Spark, which is the team with the Kingsburys. And then Renovo Reloaded, they are 39 points back. That team features Michael Janney and Savian Ragster. The Renovo Reloaded is the team with Pandev and Ragster. And then Matco Tools in 3rd. Renovo Racing Chrome has the team featuring Michael Janney. He's the overall driver championship leader, but his teammate is Daniel McDonald, who is pretty far back in the points. That's hurting that team. And then Apex Tech Racing, they're sponsoring this event. They're currently 5th in the Spark Pro Team Championship. And finally, the iDrive Sim Training Team Championship for the amateur class. That's Richmond Raceway Esports, the team with Novak and Mullis up top. Then Spark in partnership with LMT. And then Team Legends Never Die, Masterclass Performance Racing, and Team LRL in 5th. Getting ready to go to the grid here. See if we can't take a look at our grid for momentarily as you see cars starting to file onto this long straightaway. And such a beautiful track nestled here in the forests and the woods of Virginia. The track has so many hills and so many contours that they really did a great job when designing this to really take elevation into account, and some of the off-camber corners really prove their worth here with how difficult they might be. There's a couple of them that are a couple off-camber downhill corners that really kind of spice things up as you're running this track.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun now to see what the Renovo guys can do up in front there. You see them packing up at least the 3 first spots.
Yeah, all top four
Yeah,
for
top
our
four.
team Renovo. There are 2 different Renovo teams. You can kind of see the different spec maps on them, the
Yeah.
chrome versus more of the matte finish. But yeah, all 4 teams for Renovo, or all 4 cars for Team Renovo on both teams taking up the front 2 rows.
That's impressive.
It just shows, their dominance so far this season. But right behind them is Team Spark with the 2 Kingsburys, 5th and 6th. So they definitely, every point counts here, both sprint and in the feature. So as there's number 1 of Ray Kingsbury in that gold Spark virtual racing machine. And then there's Matt joining in right next to him in that chromed out beauty. Further on back in the field there, you see Matco Tools. That's the 66. And another Spark driver right there behind them as well. So a lot of Spark drivers. So yep, the clog there was on the inside there. As drivers start to get rolling here, we got a long formation lap as we start to get set for today's race.
Let's see now what the Renova guys can do up in front there. If they can defend from the Kingsbury brothers back on 5th and 2nd or 5th and 6th position.
And Sidra, do you have any predictions for this for the sprint race?
I want to say Michael has good pace. I've seen him doing GTs both this season and last season. He's improved and being steady all through the events. Had some bad luck. I think last season he had some bad luck, and but I think he can fight for the win here.
And what are your thoughts on the GT America switching to the multi-class format? I know that you didn't have to race with that last season, but here this season, we got 2 classes. There are the slower cars, the GT3s. Do you think that would be enticing for you to come back, or are you still going to stick with your rallycross?
Yeah, I tried out the first round. I love Road America, so I tried out, but unfortunately I got someone had an issue or something, so I got spun. But for sure, it is these staying up late night things that are the struggle. But for sure, it's fun driving some road racing as well. I attended the Daytona 24 hours together with my team, and it was really fun. But yeah, it is road racing. I'm a rallycross guy, so yeah, better let these drivers do the fun.
Yeah, they're about halfway through their pace lap here. Your top 5 for GTEs are Janney, Ragster, Pandev, McDonald, and Ray Kingsbury. And then the top 5 starters for the GT3s are Challoner, Archer, Stewart, Mullis, and Carroll. So Jimmy Mullis, who's finished, I think, 2nd in both of our features so far this season, he's got a little bit of work to do to get up to Christian Challoner, but Challoner almost 7/10 faster in qualifying than the next fastest GT3. That just shows his advantage in this car. He knows it very well. He made a lot of the setups that iRacing uses as the baseline. He said last week after his win as well that the setup that he drives is very, very slightly altered from very slightly altered from the baseline. So he doesn't have to change much to find speed in these cars, and he's going to do a great job. There you see side by side, that is Ragster and Janney for Team Renovo. The Zebras leading the herd here as they come around the final corner. pace car is going to pull off here momentarily. We are getting set to go green here in the Apex Technologies Grand Prix. There you see the pace car is off. It is Janny out front, followed right behind by Savian Ragster. Pandev and McDonald still side by side as they approach turn number 1. It's a hairpin with the advantage is going to be Pandev. Pandev jumps all the way up to second then.
Ooh, McDonald around.
Have Dan McDonald going around there off the start, so he's going to lose a ton of spots. And Briar LaPrade looks like something might have happened to him. There's Christian Challoner now taking the hairpin for the first time in the GT3s as well. And Janny, Ragster, Panda, McDonald, and Kingsbury, your top 5 in GT Pro. And it's Challoner, Archer, Stewart, Mullis, and Carroll in the AM class.
You can see there that McDonald got a hit from behind. I don't know what happened there, but more crash coming up behind there.
And we have trouble all over this racetrack, it seems.
Kallinger got through that mess from the GTs, but...
And that's Kamal Hashmi there that you see off on the side, doing a great job taking his time on the rejoin. As there's still cars coming up behind him that were in trouble themselves.
Yeah, we see McDonald there back on it again. He needs to push now to get up to his position again, for sure.
A lot of work and a lot of racing still to be done. It's only a 15-minute sprint here, as we are about a minute and a half in. We've already seen some fantastic action. Laps here should be about a minute and 40-ish seconds, I believe. The pole time was 1:42.205 from Michael Janny, as he still leads the herd. So it's Janny, and then Pandev, Ragster, and Kingsbury, and then Josh Clawgrabs with the top 5 overall. And that's Jimmy Mullis there for Team Richmond Raceway Esports. See him running while they're getting back on track. Talking to him and Novak, the two of the Coke Series drivers, they said they were running this just to get more experience on road courses, and just based on the way that the seasons have progressed for both of them, it really shows that even just getting the seat time will help you no matter what the cars. There's a big difference between the stock cars and these GT cars, but overall, I mean, any seat time is going to be beneficial to you as the season continues.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just put down the hours into every car, and you will learn it either way, what car you're driving. Coming around this famous tree now.
Yeah, that's really close there between, I believe that was Brokaw and Matt Kingsbury. Matt Kingsbury dropped from 6th all the way back to 12th and trying to work his way back up to grid. He was up to 4th on the start, but then dropped back all the way to 12th spot. He's trying to work his way back up to the front, but he's about 10 seconds behind the overall leader. Only one car seems to be out of this race right now. That's Jacob Falcon sitting in the pits. He had trouble early. But overall, most things clean and clear. Most cars still on track. As the Janny up front. This is a look further back, though. That's Marwin Mafta and Blake Reynolds. They're currently battling for 6th position on track. There's look on board from Marwin Mafta looking out the back towards Reynolds, and you can kind of tell just under straightaways and on entry, Reynolds is able to close the gap just a little bit, but then as they come onto the accelerator, Mafta just pulls away just the slightest amount. And spinning further back is Matt Kingsbury again. Oh, and he collects one of the Renovo cars. That was McDonald.
McDonald again.
An unsafe rejoin there. It looks like Matt just lost it and then tried to get rolling again, not realizing that McDonald was there. There was a lot of contact between the two of them, and they're definitely going to have to start from the back in the feature race because there's still 10 minutes left, but they are well behind the next couple cars in class.
Yeah, both of them had an awful start, Matt and McDonald. McDonald got spun in T1, I remember, and
Yeah,
Matt has just been struggling now.
Yeah, and then Matt Kingsbury just went off track again, coming down through that interesting long straightaway with a couple of curves in it. But overall, just not his night, at least in the sprint race. He will have the feature to try to turn his night around. Cody Erdman looks to have retired as well. He is now in the pit lane. Kamal Hashmi dropping pretty far down the field. He is 16th right now in the GT class, but that's a look at, I believe, Cody Cosgrove, yep, in the 18 with Tim Brokaw right there as well. That's Corvette versus Ford for the two of those cars. Yep, that's Ray Kingsbury there in the gold number 1 as Josh Clogg right in front of him. Both of those Corvettes, 1, 2, and 3 in our Ferraris, and then basically the rest of the top 7 or 8 cars are Corvettes with 2 Fords of Lane and Fanning there in the top 10 as well.
So yeah, let's see what Kingsbury's strategy is for this race. They are lost out a little bit to the top 3 Renault guys, and let's see what both Clogg and Kingsbury can do from this position they are in now.
Yeah, they're 3 seconds behind Clogg is to Savy and Ragster running thirds. It looks like it's going to be a 1-2-3, but still plenty of racing left here as we've got under 9 minutes to go now. It is Janney, Pandev, Ragster, Clogg, and Kingsbury, and then Challoner out in front by a solid second over Clark Archer, and Archer really put in a solid qualifying effort as well. This is further back in the field. That is a couple of Lamborghinis out there. That is Rawls trying to get around Terrio. Terrio in that 69 black and green machine. There in the 02 is Rawls. Both Lamborghinis as well. A lot of drivers sticking with that Lambo. There are 7 of them. And Josh Clogg there, you see him slow off track and losing a ton of ground. He went from 4th all the way down to at least 9th. He might lose that. No, he's going to hold on to 9th just in front of Kevin Fanning. So we're seeing this. We knew this was going to be a very technical track. We had a couple drivers who decided not to race there just because of how they felt about the track, and it's proving its toughness right now. As we are about halfway through this sprint race, still Janney out front. He's got a 2.5 lead, and something might have happened to Ragster because he lost 3 seconds to Pandev, but he is still 3 seconds clear of Ray Kingsbury. Yeah, so top 3 or 4 basically settled themselves out. 5th place right now overall is Blake Reynolds. He's got a 2nd to Marwan Mafta. And then right behind him, Steve Lane, Jack Belton, and Josh Clogg. All 3 of those cars within about half a second of each other.
Michael Jennings getting the power down from the start. That really helped out. You can see all the chaos coming in behind. So he and his teammates are just pushing forward.
Yeah, there you see the 3 of Marwan Mafta running 6th place right now. And let's look up front at Michael Janney. Janney, Pandev, and Ragster started 1, 2, and 3. They're running 1, 2, and 3 right now. The only change from the start was Pandev got around Ragster going into turn number 1. And after that, it's just been basically a freight train of these 3 Zebra Renova racing cars out front.
Yeah, it is what I said early in the start. I really think Michael is gonna pull it off this race. It's only the sprint race now, so we will see what he can do in the rest of the race.
Yeah, this is only our sprint race. We do have the 45-minute feature coming up, and it's a great format. A lot of the drivers I've talked to really seem to like it. So as the season goes on, it's definitely something that'll shake things up. We used to run an inversion in this league that unfortunately went away after last season, going with multi-class. So just kind of to balance things out just a little bit, lap traffic is going to be hard enough to deal with on its own. There, as you see cars coming up through. That's Clog and Belton coming around the hairpin. Oh, contact! Oh, wow, you could see that one just right up the tailpipe. There was Clog.
He really want to get past here. After the mistake he did, he want to push up and get the highest position he can get from this.
Yeah, the interesting thing to be as time starts to tick down here is do you maybe want to stay with that 9th spot and have the inside line going in to turn 1 on the featured race, or do you try to get every position you can and kind of hope things shake out your way?
I think that depends on how many positions he can gain on this small amount of time he have left. If he can gain 2 more positions, then I would maybe go for it. But we have a car off as well. That's the position.
That was Jack Belton we were just talking about as well. That was going into that same hairpin that there was almost contact last time through there, and looks like this time he just got it in too deep, ran wide, and he's going to lose a ton of spots.
You see, we talked about the struggle on the track earlier. Many drivers struggle in the qualifying, and you can see them struggling in the race as well.
And you can see that huge shadow coming across the track. It is a pretty cloudy day here. You see, looking up at the sky, you can kind of see some large clouds rolling in and out, and this track is going to cool off just a bit. What a huge send there. I believe that was Clog on Belton? Or Clog on Lane. So we talked about trying to pick up 2 spots. He just got both Belton and Lane on that 1 lap.
That's impressive. That's the only thing I can say.
This is a little further back there. This is Archer, and is that Carroll that he was with? Yep, that is Clark Archer and Taylor Carroll. They're currently running 3rd and 4th in the GT3 category.
He's trying on the inside in the oak tree.
Yeah, that hairpin really tight. And you can definitely kind of tell just the difference in these cars. You got one in the Lamborghini, one in the Mercedes. That's Carroll in the Lamborghini, Archer in the Mercedes, and that grill opening, and then right behind them is Zach Novak in the BMWs. 3 different manufacturers all battling for 3 consecutive spots. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th in class. And what a great battle they're putting on. And the battle for the lead in GT3 is not much of a battle at all. Christian Challoner 9 seconds up on Nate Stewart. And then Stewart is about 2.5 or so seconds ahead of these guys. So a small mistake from him. As Archer goes up the inside, he peeked his nose in there on Carroll, but could not get anything done. Novak thought about going around the outside of Archer, but decided better of it. Almost got into the back of him as well, as Archer had to check up. But still, these cars nose to tail as they tick down the time. About 2 laps to go. 1.5 minutes left here in this 15-minute sprint race.
We can also see Mollis and Houston in 7th and 11th position in the GT3 class, and those 2 are 2nd and 3rd in the driver standing. Challoner has a nice opportunity here. Looks really fast around the track as well.
Yeah, he's won every sprint race and every feature so far. He's looking to extend his lead here again. Mullis started 21st, not the best qualifying effort from him. He's only picked up 2 spots, and there you see Carroll getting by. They're still side by side though. They come up the hill now, so it's going to be Carroll and then Archer and then Novak. Novak tried 3 wide. 3 wide. Novak wisely backs out of it. He had his left side tires on the grass at one point there, and just a very smart racing move for him to back out of that one.
Yeah, Carroll just missing out of the exit of the corner and almost letting pass.
Yeah, and on this track, I don't think I ever expected drivers to be 3 wide, because there's not a lot of paved runoff, It's a very narrow track as well, so that's not a move I would have expected to see, and Novak wisely backed out of that one. And now all that does is give Archer a little bit of a gap. He's probably got about 3 or 4 car lengths on Carroll, and then Novak right behind him. And final lap here for Michael Janney. It's still Janney, Pandev, and Ragser, and then Kingsbury 4th. And overall, we've seen some drivers really making some interesting moves in this race. And we talk about that 3Y. We had Pandev sending it up the inside of Ragster at the start. As he comes to the checkered flag, it's going to be Michael Janney taking the sprint race here at Apex Technologies Grand Prix sprint race. What a great showing he put on, and this is looking back at that battle between Novak and Carroll, as Archer's pulled about a 2 or 3/10 gap on the two of them. So have to see if they start to close back up though around the Oak Tree hairpin.
We can see also the top 3 though in 3 different manufacturers as well. So it's really nice to see it splitting up a little bit and not one manufacturer dominating the season.
And there you see Christian Challoner. He won the first 2 sprint races, and here at VIR, he flashes his lights in celebration with his 3rd consecutive sprint race win. Christian Challoner. And then it's going to be Stewart and Archer, and then Carroll and Novak finishing out your top 5 in the GT3 category. And this is Houston and LaPrade battling for 11th and 12th on track there. That's LaPrade in the 19. Got a little bit of a gap out front, but he's not going to be able to close it down in time, it looks like. So that, as they cross the line, closes things up nicely. And what a fun race that we saw there. Just in a moment here, we will go through the order for you, as we're going to have a brief intermission between races as well. But yep, so your top 10 in the pro category, the GTEs, was Michael Janney, Ivan Pandev, and Savian Ragster, followed by Ray Kingsbury and Blake Reynolds. Marwan Mafta finishes 6th, Steve Lane, then Kevin Fanning. 9th was Josh Clogg, and 10th was Cody Cosgrove. And then it was Belton, Brokaw, Hashemi, McDonald, Tucker, Matt Kingsbury, and Cody Erdman wrapping up the pro class. And as I mentioned, his 3rd consecutive sprint race win for Christian Challoner. And then it was Nate Stewart, Clark Archer, Taylor Carroll, Zach Novak, Jimmy Mullis in 6th in class, and then Brandon Lambert, Levi Hensley, and Kieran Forrest, Derek Holland, Pierre Houston, LaPrade, Terrio, Fuellner, Seth Rawls, and then Justin Brent and Jacob Falcon wrapping up the GT3 category. And we're going to be joined here by Michael Janney. Janney, what a great show. You got the pole, you jumped out to an early lead, and you never looked back.
Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for having me in here. Yeah, it was really a surprise. I'm, extremely happy, and I think that the entire Renovo team really shone through today, considering we were 1 through 4 on the starting grid. So all 3 Renovo podiums for the sprint. Again, I like to, just thank them for everything they do for me. And yeah, that was crazy. That track is so hard, and it is literally taking every bit of my energy to just stay on the track.
It's very different than tracks that we normally see here. How did that play into your advantage at all, starting out front and not having to worry about getting around anybody off the start?
Yes, phenomenally. It's very difficult to explain, but there are a couple sections on this track where you can take a lot more throttle if you're ahead. So you really can't pass after you've been passed, because the areas where you can capitalize and get the really good runs on the straights are around tight corners. So if you're in the draft, the front of the car is a little bit lighter, so you can't have as much grip. Not to mention the fact that you're potentially in the draft, so you have a little bit more speed, and you can't get that 100% perfect exit like you can if you're clear open racetrack in front of you. So that definitely played it to my advantage.
1, 2, 3 finish for Team Renovo. What are your thoughts going into the future?
I'm really hoping that we can just, completely shut this one out. That would be amazing, and I know both Savian and Yvonne are looking forward to doing that. And I know that as a team, we've really progressed, and I think that we're capable of doing that coming up to the future. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Thanks for joining us in the booth here, Michael. That's Michael Janney, driver of the 113 Renovo Racing Ferrari. Savian, what were your thoughts on that race? Or Sindre. Wow, I'm mixing up all my GT drivers or rallycross
No,
drivers.
no, like I said earlier before we started the race, I think Michael is gonna pull it through. They started 1 to 4th on the grid, and only Danny McDonald that got crashed out in T1. Screwed up the 1 to 4 finish, I think. I think they're dominating in the sprint race. You can see that easily, and I think it's gonna be a fun future race to watch.
Have to give you a little bit of a shout out as well, Sindre. Last night we saw you in the Rallycross Challenge, taking the win there. Kind of do a little cross promotion here. What are your thoughts on that season over there so far?
I missed one round because this sleeping rhythm thing, it's really getting you when you're staying up that late. When you're not, yeah. But anyways, I think it's gonna be a fun season. A lot of good guys are coming in. World Championship drivers. You have Bo Albert, Conor Paris, and it's just fun to drive because it's not that serious as the World Championship, and you can really have fun out there and not needed to focus 6 hours a day to practice for the races.
Is there a big mentality shift or a big difference in your way of kind of thinking about it as between the World Championship Series and Rallycross?
Yeah, so when we drove the World Championship, we had some few races still in the NASA Championship last season, and it was like we just took this as fun. We full focused on the World Championship, and then we came here and just had fun with the boys, and then just played around a little bit. Last season we were dominating, so it was even more fun then. Then we need to kind of practice a little bit this season, but yeah, I think it's the mentality is like more chill when we're racing in NASA.
All right, we are going to take a brief break here, but stay tuned. Just in a couple of minutes, we will have our 45-minute feature race here at the Apex Technologies Grand Prix from Virginia International Raceway. And we are back here at Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia for the Apex Technologies USA Grand Prix. It's been a fun one so far tonight with Michael Janney getting the overall win in the sprint race. And now we're getting gridded up, getting set for the 45-minute feature. Now joined in the booth by another participant in last night's Rallycross event, and my normal color commentator here in the booth, Mike Berry. Mike, nice to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Obviously, couldn't make it to the start, but it's better late than never.
So you were at least able to catch some of that sprint race. What were your thoughts on the racing that we did see?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there wasn't too much action because of how technical, and this is more of a driver's track than a spectator's track, so I wasn't expecting crazy much. I think I don't know, I wasn't exactly thrilled with how the race went in Road America in the sprint, but I was blown away during the feature, so I think maybe we might see something like that.
Yeah, we did see quite the battle there as we were still waiting for drivers to get gridded. Having it looks like some technical difficulties for some of the drivers getting loaded in. They have added some time to the grid time. Hopefully they don't burn off too much fuel, because we have seen a couple of drivers actually have it run out of fuel, and yeah, it looks like they're trying to get everything set. We did see drivers run out of gas last week from gridding maybe too early, but definitely burning off too much fuel and running out of gas coming to the finish. So yeah, it looks like drivers you see them blipping in and out. They will be doing that just to kind of get more fuel in the car, get everything set back to max fuel. Yeah, and once you take to the grid, your engine is running. It is slowly burning off fuel, but it is burning fuel. Yeah, so you're going through your starting lineup here as drivers take to the grid. In the pro category, it'll be Janney, Pandev, Ragster, Kingsbury, and then Blake Reynolds in 5th. And then Marwin Mafta, Steve Lane, Fanning, Clogg, Cosgrove. And then Belton, Brokaw, Hashimi, Dan McDonald, then Lee Tucker, Matt Kingsbury, and then Cody Erdman starting from the back of the pack in GTEs. And Mike, you have a look at our GT3 field.
Yep, obviously starting off, Christian Challoner on the pole, won the sprint race. Right next to him, Stewart. Then Archer, Carroll, Zach Novak, Jimmy Molis, Lambert, Hensley, Forrest, Holland, and Huston. Holland will wrap up our top 10. Then right behind them, the 42 of Huston. Then Laprade, Terrio, Boner, Rawls, and Falcon will round out our GTM grid.
And it is a bit of a smaller field than we're used to seeing here. Normally, we'd probably see about 20-ish, maybe another 10 or so cars overall, but definitely a smaller grid than we are used to. But next week, we should be back to full bore with a full field as we see drivers starting to work their way slowly around this track, getting themselves reacclimated to the track that they just raced on. Due to some iRacing issues, we did have to reset the track state, and there could have been some changes to the temperature. We'll have to see how that impacts drivers. It did have a brief warm-up as the session got going, but yeah, definitely going to be interesting to watch these drivers as they take on full fuel and get rolling here at VIR.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned next week we are at Interlagos and Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, and I mean that's a very, very popular track on iRacing and in real life. I mean, I think we're going to, obviously the field isn't really here for Virginia, not exactly the most popular track. I think it's a great track. It's very technical. Obviously not too many passing opportunities, but I think we will be back to normal next week.
It is a very punishing track as well. Just the slightest mistakes here will send you into a wall or, through a wall. There's not a lot of runoff at this track, so you can see all these tire tracks in the dirt. It's you make a slight mistake as we run through this field. It's going to be fun one to watch as they come around the Oak Tree hairpin.
Yeah, obviously Oak Tree not there anymore. Rip Oak Tree. I think it was removed about 5 or 6 years ago, but it still lives on iRacing.
Yeah, struck by lightning, if I remember correctly. Mother Nature does what she wants, but man, it's going to be a fun one out here. We saw some excitement. We saw 3 wide at one point during the sprint race. So we'll have to see. Hopefully, drivers are a little smarter. Thankfully, nothing resulted from that, but overall, Christian Chandler able to run away with it in the GT3 class, and Janny doing the same in the pro category.
And you saw back there, there's a pit straight there. Obviously, that's not the one we're going to use, but hey, it's a little bit of fun to use in some less serious races like this. If obviously if this race wasn't as serious as it is, I'd maybe put up a bounty for whoever can make the craziest pass using that.
And if some of you tuned in to our rallycross race last night, all this grass does kind of, as we were reminded by our producer Victor, we're reminded that the land rush starts that we saw last night are very exciting, and would love to see one of those here as we get set to go green. The pace car pulls away, and we're gonna have to see if Michael Janney can get a good jump in. He does. It's still a 1-2-3 for Team Renovo.
Yeah, coming down to turn 1, that tight hairpin. It looks like Janney's gonna have the advantage coming into turn 1, but watch Blake Reynolds on the inside. He's gonna look for third here. And they come out the corner.
Reynolds and Panda, they're side by side. Reynolds gets that position, and so it is now Janney, Panda, Reynolds, and then Ragster. And this is a look further back there at the AM category. And that's Nate Stewart in the 16, getting a good jump on Christian Challoner. And Challoner going to look right back up the inside, though, going into turn 1. Does he think better? He thought about stepping on the brakes a little harder, but he is there alongside. And Challoner trying to get that position back. It's a long exit. And they're still side by side as they go through the next corner.
That's the NASCAR bend there. I mean, he's got the, looks like Stewart's got the, the NASCAR bend. Now they have the advantage. I mean, he might be able to hold on through the second left-hander.
Went very deep there. Challoner trying to get a better run on exit. And what a show that these guys are putting on back here as well.
Yeah, it's a really exciting battle. I mean, this is the best part of the race, I think. When we got all these guys bunched up together, we're going to see like 5 or 6 cars all battling it out. As you see, side by side through the S is one of the Richmond Raceway cars with, I can't tell who else that was. Yeah, now looks like it's now fizzled out though. I mean, look at that, the 90 of the Zach Novak. Look to the inside as they come to the Oak Tree corner. Now down that long back stretch. Can he make the move? I'd say so.
That's Stewart, Challoner, Carroll, Mullis, and Archer. And then Zach Novak trying to go the long way around the outside of Archer. He gets that spot down the long straightaway going into, I can never remember the names of some of these corners, but this long sweeping right-hander down the hill. Very technical and hard to get off camber as you get into the left.
Yeah, almost like an inverted corkscrew like you see at Laguna Seca. I mean, just a real tough corner to get right, but it does look pretty cool watching it.
It's a narrower track, but it definitely is a little more sweeping of a corner there, as you hear Stewart and Challoner really congratulating each other, thanking each other for some clean racing. And there's still the front 6 right here are very close to each other. Have to see if Christian Challoner can pull away. This is the 06 that we're looking at of Matt Kingsbury. Now we're up front. Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, he was right on the back bumper of Pandev there, as you saw. I mean, can he make that run? I don't know. I mean, Pandev's going to have the draft of Sabian Ragster, and I don't think Blake Reynolds is close enough to really make up that difference. Obviously, 3 cars are in a draft. The car in the middle is really not going to lose any ground to the car at the back.
Yeah, we started with, Janny, Pandev, Ragster. Now it's Janny, Ragster, Pandev, which is how we started the sprint race. They just flip-flopped that position as Blake Reynolds kind of trying to catch back up. He's lost a little bit of time there, but he still holds on to 4th position. by about 4 seconds over Steve Lane.
Yeah, a bit of a return to form for the Renovo Racing guys. Obviously, they started off, had a bit of a rough start at Road America. Really, they qualified well, but it seems like a lot of things just went wrong for there. I mean, now they're looking to be strong. I mean, look at that top 3, and then the 4th guy sitting somewhere back. I believe that's I can't see it right now, obviously because the standings, and I'm not a hunt. But yeah, we got a bunch. You know, they got 4 drivers in here. A top 3 right now is really nice. Let's see if they can make it a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, the other driver for them had issues. It was Dan McDonald that had issues in the sprint race. Had to start here from the back. Has worked his way up through the field now. But he is currently losing time, about 2 seconds behind Hashimi for 16th. Yeah, this is
Kingsbury and Lane coming through the S's here. I mean, I'm thinking Kingsbury might be able to make a move into the hairpin. What do you think?
He's been very aggressive so far. He almost made contact there, gets him under braking, and that's where you see the advantage of the Corvette. It can just hold the mid-corner speed so much better than these other cars. It does lose about 4 to 5 miles an hour, is what we were told by Matt Kingsbury earlier in the week. You know, losing so much straight line speed, but you're able to carry the mid-corner, and he definitely just flew around the outside in that hairpin.
They come down this tight little ending section here at Virginia. I mean, not a lot of passing opportunities here, but you can definitely set yourself up for potentially ascend into the hairpin.
Such a beautiful track with rolling hills, making the most of them along the circuit. So much fun to watch. There's only one car so far that's in the pit lane that's retired from the race. That is the 71 of Jacob Falcon, one of the multiple Spark cars here in this series. So not his night. It looks like he has some rear wing damage there in his Audi. This is, I believe it's Lee Tucker, Cody Cosgrove, and is that Cody Erdman right there with them as well?
Chevy in a Ford. Oh, he's off a little bit. Trying hard.
Very close. They're battling real hard for position. It looks like Erdman might have a run on Cosgrove as well. He's gaining on him as they go through these S's, but he does lose. Oh, cut in the corner. He's going to lose control, and he goes wide.
Oh, he's going to go. Don't go to the other side.
There is no wall over there separating the other side of the hairpin. So he's going to lose a lot of time here, but way to maintain control and not go across to the other part of the track. He lost about 7 or 8 positions there.
I mean, good job to Cody Irvine. Obviously, with no wall, I mean, it's pretty hard to get damaged, but he definitely did avoid that. I think he might still be able to charge his way back up and maybe salvage a result here.
Nate Stewart a little further back in the field. Something has happened to him. He was in second right behind Challoner, and now he's dropped all the way back to 9th place, about 8 seconds behind. So
Just
he had himself a moment. There's a look at our beautiful pace car out here. And there's the 06 of Blake Reynolds.
Now we're taking a look and seeing what happened with Nate Stewart. Obviously, had a really fast car, qualified second, actually took the lead going into at the start, but we'll have to see. I mean, obviously he's dropped back to 9th now. I mean, not ideal. Now you were just there. You were watching the 2 Richmond Raceway Esports, Jimmy Mullis and Zach Novak battling it out. They're now 2 and 3. Obviously, Christian Challoner pulling away right now. I think he's sitting in probably about a 3 or 4 second lead at this point.
And no need to switch back to it, but Cody Erdman really struggling at the back of the field now. We saw him run wide a couple laps ago, and he just ran wide again through the first hairpin. So he is getting ready to get lapped, actually, it seems. So not the night Cody Erdman wanted. This is a battle here for position in the GT3s. That is the 69 of Terrio. Going to make a move on Kieran Forrest. And he gets that move done. Yes, that's on board the nose of Forrest. two Lamborghinis battling real hard. You can kind of see they're all the Lamborghinis are pretty balanced. You know, they're 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. The only two that are not in that pack are Rawls, who's 1 spot behind, and then Carroll, who's about 4 spots up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously coming through this bridge now, we're seeing these Lambos. I mean, they're really fast on the straight. They're pretty fast in the straights. Maybe not as fast as the Ferrari, but that doesn't really come into factor here in this series. It doesn't. Oh, we have a problem.
That's Matt Kingsbury there in the pits. You saw him there getting into the tire barrier, it looks like. And he took it back to pit lane, and he's going to have to retire, I do believe. Let's take a look here what happened, yeah.
Oh, just too much grass there, maybe?
No, he kept things going. Oh, he just completely lost it through that. And when you're off in the grass like that, you just cannot scrub off any speed, and he's just straight on into the tire barrier.
It's just unfortunate. Obviously, that it is a mid-engine to rear-engine car, but I don't know how much suspension damage he's gonna have.
He did take the tow back, and I believe that he is not able to rejoin after taking a tow. So his night appears to be done.
Yeah, tough break
for Matt Kingsbury. And just as we talk about one Kingsbury, we switch over to another. That is Ray Kingsbury up front trying to battle with Josh Clogg for P5 overall. They are about 14 seconds back from Michael Janney, but they're putting on quite the show here as we go on board with Josh Clogg.
Yeah, Josh Clogg and Ray Kingsbury, obviously just a good battle here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, we have a pretty interesting manufacturer actually with 1, 2, 3 Ferrari, 4, 5, 6 Chevrolet. I don't know. Maybe the Corvettes can maybe try and break into the Italian Stallions at the front, but I don't know. I mean, those Ferraris are just so fast here with that one backstretch.
Yeah, and mentioning, you know, the 1, 2, 3s. This is the first event that we've seen some just dominance from a manufacturer, both with the Ferraris and with the BMWs in the GT3 class.
Yeah, obviously the Ford's a little bit struggling here. Fanning just dropped back. Now it's a 4, 5, 6, 7 in the Chevrolets. Belton taking that 7th spot.
This is up at the front for second place, Pandev and Ragster. About 6 seconds up the road is their teammate Michael Janney, but these two, they might be teammates, but they also are fierce competitors, and they're going to fight it out. No team orders to say, hey, let him by, or, you know, don't fight too hard, but they're going to go at it and make sure just, hey, as long as you don't make contact, don't make a mistake, then race your hearts out.
That's how racing should be. One thing that really pees me off about F1 is when you see like, I don't know, Valtteri Bottas having to move over and give Lewis Hamilton a spot. I think that's just, let him race it out. I mean, you know, it's racing. I'm not here to sit by and let guys by, right? You know, race hard, just don't wreck. That's all you gotta do.
In trouble for Zach Novak. He was running 4th, and he ran wide through one of the hairpins. He's able to regain it, didn't make any contact with the wall, but he did lose about 5 spots. And right in front of him is another car going off. That's Byron LaPrade. Wow, so just issues all over here in the GT3 category. It's Challenger now with a 7-second lead, then Carroll. Novak definitely lost about 3 spots there, so Archer and Houston both pick up spots there.
Yeah, bit of a tough break for two streaming guys. Obviously, Zach Novak not streaming tonight, but Byron LaPrade is streaming over on Twitch. Go check. Yeah, this is Nate Stewart. I mean, just a tough break, I guess. We call it the streamer curse. We had the commentator curse at we have it last week or the week before.
Yep, last week there at Mosport.
Yeah, we had the commentator curse last week at Mosport, and obviously now we're having the streaming curse. So I don't know. Yeah, we see Bo Albert Wreck will notice the YouTuber curse on Wednesdays.
And Nate Stewart there that we're looking at with, I believe that's Lambert right behind him. Or sorry, that's Novak behind him after Novak. He's really thought, you saw him, the closing right there. He really wanted to just get right up on his bumper, could not do it, could not get to the inside, and unfortunately has to stay behind.
Yeah, one of the benefits of that front-engine BMW is it seems like with all the weight at the front, like you can really send it in a little bit deeper while using the same amount of braking force. The mid-engine Lambo is a little bit more stable in the corners, I think, but that BMW will get you on the entry here. As you'll see him like really send it in now and close in about 2 or 3 car lengths.
And while it hasn't closed up much, Challoner did lose a little bit of time that lap to Jimmy Mullis. Mullis started, I believe it was 4th? He started 6th, and he's already up to 2nd. So Mullis making his charge through the field.
Just a good effort by him, obviously. He's had some decent races these last couple of weeks, but just a bit shy of the win. I think eventually we'll see him on the top spot. It's just gonna all depend on what happens to Christian Challoner.
This is battle for, I believe that's 8th overall between Fanning and Mafta. It's Mafta in the blue Corvette, the yellow Matco Tools Ford of Kevin Fanning. As Mafta looks like ran a little wide there, coming up on another car. I couldn't tell who that was right in front. No. I think
Belton.
That's Clog that they have a little bit of a gap to out the front.
I think he had a little bit of problems there. Belton must have passed him. Oh, it might be Belton. Yeah, but obviously this battle for 8th, good, really good fight. We got the battle of the American muscle here. The Ford GT versus the Corvette, and it looks like the Corvette's gonna maybe get a run coming through the S's. If I'm not wrong, that's the one. The Corvettes are way slower on the straights than the Fords this week, though. So
yeah, it seems to be the case just about everywhere. But you see the mid-corner closing speed of Marwan Mafta. He peaks to the outside, but can't get his nose there to really force the issue. But in a long run, we did see Ray Kingsbury make a solid move through that corner earlier in the race to pick up some spots, but unable to do so there. If you can get the nose inside, you can really rotate. You can also send it in pretty deep on the brakes with as well as that car handles, but did not seem to pay off there. That is battle for 8th we're looking at once again. That is Fanning the car in front here on board with Marwan Mafta.
I mean, you're seeing the two differences here, obviously, on that bumper cam. Ford just gained a ton of time in the straights, but Marwan Mafta was able to get it all back in braking there. I think he's going to maybe get him into the hairpin here.
And you can see just in front of them is the 17 of Belton. He's probably just seeing this in his mirror and saying, "Thank you very much. I will take all the time that I gained from you guys battling and try to run away." And there you see him send it up the inside. Can he make it stick? He can.
Behind him, the 66 of Lane, he's going to try and make a move on Brokaw here now. Or that. Brokaw the 67 chasing Fanning now. I mean, Ford versus Ford. And, looks like we've moved on from our manufacturer competitions, and now we're just kind of getting personal and sibling rivalries.
Yeah, so we have 4 Ferraris, then 4 Corvettes, and then 3 Fords all in a line. This is further back in the AM class there. That is Nate Stewart. I believe trying to make a move. He's under pressure from Houston or Novak.
Novak can maybe be able to get the run down here.
And Novak was the faster class. He's going to send it around the outside. He is there, and I believe Stewart's just going to maybe let him have the position. No, he's going to try to stick it up, stay on the inside.
Novak's going to get the run here.
Clean.
He's got three left-hand turns here. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on much.
Yep, and just letting him go was good. And he ran away. Can he stay out of the barrier? We'll have to go see. We can't go back to that.
I think he did. I think he might have just stayed out of it.
Yeah, he was able to keep it out of the barrier. He barely ran wide, and that's what we were talking about with no paved runoffs here. At other tracks, you might see some asphalt laid down to kind of allow cars to save. And watch it as he just approaches that barrier, just a hard left, and just able to keep it off of the wall and keep it rolling. And that's the second time that we've seen Novak make a move on somebody and then just completely miss his braking point and have to recollect it getting into the next corner.
Yeah, that's the talent of a pro driver. Very impressive from Zach Novak. I think if it was me, I would have went straight into that wall. Nothing much I could have done about it. Now we're watching Nate Stewart. He's now trying to chase down Peter Houston.
And we did have our third retirement as well. We had Falcon early, and then Matt Kingsbury. Seth Rawls has withdrawn as well. Looks like Cody Erdman has decided to as well. He had another issue, so he just went back to the pits and said, you know what, I'm going to call it there.
And now we got a battle between two Chevys, if I'm not wrong. That's Blake Reynolds and Matt Kingsbury. That's for fourth. So that will be the best of the Chevys. And then, if I'm not wrong, just farther ahead, you might have seen it out the corner of your eye. That's the 3 Ferraris. There was 3 cars. It might just been lap traffic though. Let's look at Ray Kingsbury making a move to the outside. He's might get it. It's going to be a bit hairy. He's got the advantage. Not quite. No, he's going to have to let Blake Reynolds go, or is he?
Wait a minute. Oh, through that King, he really wanted to try to get the move done. Could not get any momentum on the outside. As further back in the field, no need to go back to this one, but Zach Novak ran off track again. Still no contact for him, getting away with it, but Novak really seeming to struggle through some of the harder braking corners on this track. But what a great battle here between Kingsbury and Reynolds. He's got his nose up the inside, maybe a little bit of contact there. We'll have to see.
I don't think he's going to be able to keep it, though. Blake Reynolds has the advantage into the next 3 corners, and yeah, he's going to keep it.
I would definitely talk about the straightaway speed difference in the slow Corvette, but when both of them are in it, it definitely makes things interesting. Because now they have to deal with a lapped car there of Brandon Lambert. He's GT3 losing his first lap of the race here, about 20 minutes in, and he pulls off and lets him go, and almost
really just trying to desperately make his way around there.
He is hammering the curves, making sure he doesn't lose too much time here, because they have to deal with another one. And then that's Holland there. And that opens door. No, slamming the door on Kingsbury was Holland. Almost some contact.
Just, I'm not sure if that's great awareness there. Obviously, Ray flashing his lights, maybe out of frustration. You're not really supposed to do that, though, so. But it looks like he's going to be able to get clear from easy. And now it's up to Blake Reynolds to see if he can chase down Penn Devin Raxford. He's only about 5 or 6 car lengths behind him, maybe 10. And he's been closing at a really quick rate.
Yeah, there is Kieran Forrest, the lapped car, the Lamborghini that he's about to get past right here, but there is a decent gap between Pandev and Randev, about 1.5 seconds or so.
Pandev and Randev? Yeah, you just look at the gap, though. I mean, maybe the half of the pit road one. But he really needs to be anymore.
The unfortunate thing for Reynolds is that it's so many long straightaways here on this course that really, when you do have the advantage in the corners, you have to already be there to make the move, or else you're not going to get anything done.
That's the risk you take when you're in an official race. A lot of times, what you'll do is you'll swap cars based on what week, but you can't do that in this series. I think that's what makes the difference. You have to really commit to your choice and just try to make the best of it. As he was off track there, and he's really closing in now on these Ferraris. Let's see what he can do. He's going to try and break up this Italian party right here.
And a note from Matt Kingsbury pre-race that he sent over to me. Ford GT has a top-end speed of 165 at this track. The Corvette's 159, as I heard from Ray. So 6 miles an hour difference at the top-end speed between these 2 cars. So that really comes into play along these long straightaways.
And it's really interesting. I mean, obviously, I don't believe we've seen the Corvette and the Ford GT really competing in official races, but you would think it was a little bit closer. Maybe a power decrease isn't necessary.
Oh, side by side, almost going wide was Kingsbury. There was some tire smoke as well. Kingsbury really wants that 4th spot. He, I believe, is right up there in the championship. Let me go back and check the championship standings. He is 3rd in the Pro Class Championship there between Janney and Claude. And Janney really showing his stuff out front today. Already won the sprint and trying to do the same here in the feature.
Yeah, as they run right now, I don't think Kingsbury is going to be able to take over 2nd. But if he's able to maybe get by the Ferraris and the Blake Reynolds to be able to move his way up into 2nd in points. But unless he can catch Micah Janney, he's going to be stuck in the runner-up spot.
I think what Blake Rounds and Ray Kingsbury are going to need to do is you see Ray Kingsbury really taking a generous line through that first S, is they just need to, stop racing each other because they're catching those Ferraris, and all they're doing is letting Savian Raxter get farther and farther ahead. Ivan Pandev's kind of been able to stay in the sights of Blake Reynolds, but let's settle this between
And Ray on a huge run. Oh, some contact. And
Ray's off.
And into the barrier. Oh no!
Exactly where his brother went.
Oh my goodness, that's unfortunate. Where's Josh Clogg? He's coming up, and there he is.
There we go. Just commentator curse.
Now it looks like just on entry, Kingsbury wanted to send it up the outside.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, exactly what his brother Mac did. Right into that wall. Obviously a little bit less severe though.
Yeah, thankfully, at least from Reynolds' perspective, he's able to keep things on track. Doesn't look like there's too much damage to his car.
I don't think he did. He even get off track?
He did not go off track, but he did lock up the brakes. His tires might be a little hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys in the series can keep their tires cool, so I think if he's able to just, focus for a couple laps, maybe cool those tires down, he'll be able to make a real good charge at those Ferraris.
This is on board here with Josh Clogg looking out the back at Ray Kingsbury as they come past a lapped car. That's Lambert once again, just not having a great night as Brandon Lambert.
Yeah, I mean, sitting ninth, which isn't bad. He's about better than half the field right now, but I don't know, maybe he could do a little better. Zach Novak, I think, a little bit farther ahead, unfortunately.
By the way, we talk about Ray Kingsbury being third in points. He has been involved in some sort of incident. Most of them have been, I believe, self-inflicted injuries at the first two races. I think last week we saw him lose it. Week one, it was at the Carousel at Road America. And then at Motorsport, I can't remember where he lost it there, but he did collect the barrier there as well. So he's getting used to handling a damaged race car.
Definitely. I think that's actually something that you can benefit from if you're prone to making the mistakes, learn to overcome them. And he's obviously done that. He's still running, if I'm not wrong, sixth. I mean, he can charge his way back up to the front.
And this is for fourth back in the GT3 class between Houston and Stewart. It's Houston in the 42, Stewart in the 16 there.
If I'm not wrong, I think that's Michael Janney about to come up and lap them. Having a little bit of interference on my end here, but I think we should be all good now. Yeah, there's Michael Janney right behind him.
And that's an interesting thing as the faster class. You don't want to get in the way of these guys' battle, but at the same time, you can't lose time to the faster cars that are, or the cars that are behind you in class, trying to get that top spot from you.
I mean, I don't think Michael Janney has to worry too much. He is really far, if I'm not wrong. I don't know if you can check that for me, Chad, but he's 6.2 seconds. Not as much as I thought, but he still has a pretty comfortable lead. He's going to lose a bit of time here on trying to get around Huston, though. So, or the Houston or Huston?
Houston, okay. Comes around that oak tree bend. Long straightaway here now. Looks like he's got plenty of time to the next lap car as well. The battle for second in class, though, between Raxter and Pandev. It's closing up a little bit, about a second and a half, but this is still a fun one to watch here with the 42 of Houston and Nate Stewart right behind. Stewart really thought about making the move there coming to that corner. He had the run, but I believe Houston just closed it off and didn't let him pass.
Yeah, I just again, I think we saw it a couple laps ago with the Ferrari, not the Lamborghinis and the BMWs fighting, but it's just a matter of who's strong where. I think this Lambo, he's gonna be able to get a good run down the straight, but that BMW's gonna make it all up in the corner here.
Yeah, you can see that run. He sends it to the outside. Can he keep it under braking? Back end stepped out just a little bit, and Houston holds the spot.
That's that cornering speed.
And this just opens the door. I believe that's Taylor Carroll right behind as well. Yes,
Yep,
so
okay.
all three of these cars here are for position, and they're putting on quite the show here, mid-pack in the GT3s.
I mean, I think earlier we did say that we weren't expecting too much of a battle. If it was Michael Janney who was saying, if you get behind a guy, it's really tough to pass him. But obviously, that's not really coming true now. We're getting really good racing in the middle of the pack here.
Yeah, here in class, just to keep you guys aware, the
Even
overall... There's Ragster. Ragster working his way through, but up in top of this class, it's still Challenger, about a 14-second lead over Mullis, and then Mullis is 2 seconds ahead of Archer, but then it's this battle between Houston, Stewart, and Carroll. Oh, and side by side, there was Houston with, I believe it was Ragster?
Fabian Ragster.
Or in Stewart, yes. Ragster
Ivan
and Stewart
Pandev
side by side.
in hot pursuit. He's going to have a better passing opportunity here than Ragsrad. Can he get by both of them in one swoop? Will Stewart let him by? He's gonna be close. There he goes.
He gets by, but definitely, all that this is doing as well is closing up the battle between Ragster and Pandev. Have to see when Ragster can get by Houston. And it looks like he's trying to make that move now. And with a huge draft is going to be Pandev.
I mean, you have
He's right there on his teammate's bumper
Here he
now.
goes.
Sending it up the inside.
Not quite though.
Now, he did get quite the run, closed the gap by a lot, but did not get enough to actually get a move done. But
Yeah,
still,
it's clear track for a little bit now though, so we'll see what we can
that
do.
opens things up for some great racing. It's going to be Pandev with an incredible draft off of his teammate. And then also you still have this battle here between Houston, Stewart, and Carroll right behind them as well. And we did see a small mistake there by Peter Houston, flipping the grass just a little bit, able to keep things under control.
Blake Reynolds.
And you can kind of tell who is really making the aggressive moves here. As we see Blake Reynolds coming through here, 4th overall. You can kind of see who's really sending it over these curbs and who really wants the spots. Looks like Stewart really kind of biding his time here. He's still got about 15 minutes left to try to get the move done, as he did lose about, I'd say, half a second or so to Houston.
I mean, Nate knows he's faster. I think he's just biding his time. As he's letting Blake Reynolds by, but he's not letting the 42 of Peter Houston out of his sight, or Houston out of his sight. I mean, he's just...
The benefit for Stewart as well is now he's going to have the draft and really trying to, you see kind of that gap really close up coming into that corner. The draft coming off of the faster cars still benefits, because the speed, straightaway speed between these two cars, the closing rates between the GTEs and GT3s is not very significant. It is noticeable, but it's not significant, so you can definitely get a draft off of them for a decent amount of time. As you can see, Stewart really kind of just trying to tuck in behind. And as soon as the faster car gets by Houston, he really sticks it right behind his tailpipe as well.
Yeah, I mean, look at that, almost like a 2 car lengths. No, I think Houston's going to get the better runoff here, coming through turn 2, and then coming up to the NASCAR bend. I think ooh, look at that move by Stewart. He's really closing in, riding his bumper.
He knows that he has the faster car. He just has to wait for the opportunity to present itself. As it looks like they do have a little bit of traffic behind, but they still have about, 15 or 20 seconds out the back before the next faster class car. So you can battle this out for at least a little bit here.
It's just all about focusing on the guy in front. Don't worry about the guys in back until they're making a move to your inside, I say. I think Stewart's faster. He just has to, bide his time. He might get a run coming out of Oak Tree here. Doesn't look like he's losing the advantage.
Hammer onto the throttle down this long back straightaway. It's still Janney, Ragster, Pandev, Reynolds, and Claw, your top 5 in Pro. Challenger, Mullis, Archer, top 3 in AM, and then Houston, Stewart, Carroll, all battling real hard for 4th, 5th, and 6th right now in the GT3 category.
I don't know if you want to check, but I know Ivan Pandev was catching Fabian Raxer a little bit there a couple laps ago if you wanted to see how that battle's going.
They're about a second apart on track right now. The gap closing, but still not it definitely has spread out just a little bit. So Ragster does seem to at least be catching the lapped cars at more opportune times.
And I think Blake Reynolds, he's a bit behind Pandev, but he was catching both of those for a long time.
And going off, and that's Stewart.
Stewart! Keep it out the wall, man.
Oh, he got
tapped
barely
back.
collected the back end, but let's have a look, see if we can't catch the replay of it. It looks like he just got his left sides maybe onto the grass and slid all the way back across the other way.
Just that rear. Those rears will kill you like that. Just unfortunate. I think
And
it's
it's
a combination of both the, coming out of the draft, it's a little bit shaky, and obviously just hitting that grass just in the wrong place.
And that's unfortunate, as that kind of just destroys what was such a great battle between him and Houston. Thankfully, Carroll is still there. We'll have to see if he can't close that gap. It's about just under 2 seconds between the two of them. So definitely will be interesting to see. It looks like some other, another great battle is going to be between Steve Lane and Tim Brokaw. They're about maybe less than a second or so apart on track. And there is a lot of lapped cars there as well. So it's going to be Brokaw in that red Matco Tools car, teammate in the white Corvette up in front, or white Ford up in front of them, about 2 cars up. So the battle was definitely closer. Oh, right in front of them, right in front of Brokaw going wide was a lapped car. But thankfully for Brokaw, does not come back and collect him. So all that did was open up the gap, and Steve Lane really pulls away now.
Yeah, we're just about to hit 10 minutes to go on the race. Time has flown by, as it always does. We are it's coming down to crunch time now. Pandev's really going to have to start making a move on saving Ragster. Blake Reynolds is going to have to keep pushing, I think. Was that Ragster? Pandev just got by Jimmy Mullis there. It was Ragster.
And that leaves Christian Challoner, the only GT3 still on the lead lap overall. That is a 17-second gap for Challoner over Mullis. And then Mullis has about 5 seconds on Archer right now.
Yeah, if you just saw back there with Mike and Jenny heading into that second set of S's, that car at the very top of those S's, when you saw it was only there for a frame, but that, that's Christian Challoner, just to get an idea of how big of a gap he has to Jimmy Mullis. And now you're seeing him now coming across that backstretch pit straight. There's Mullis just coming out of Oak Tree Bend. So yeah, about almost 20 seconds. I mean, I don't want to doing the math in my head right now. I think Challoner was about 6/10 faster in qualifying, but he might be do it even faster than that nowadays. And we're hearing it was 0.8 a lap faster for Challoner than Mullis on the last lap. So if we're shooting that an average, and yeah, it's been a dominant showing by Challoner. Regardless.
Yeah, and even if you take their fastest laps of the race. Oh, Christian Challoner just went even faster. He just turned a 1:46, his fastest lap of the race. And that's pretty close. Yeah, that's the slowest GTE lap. It looks like the last lap was a Brokaw with a 1:48. So that's something interesting. There's a huge gaggle of cars right there featuring the it's the number 90, I believe, of Novak in the middle of it. Getting forced onto the curb with, is that Nate Stewart?
That's Nate Stewart. Side by side.
And you can see them using every bit of real estate, every single piece of curbing is Novak.
Yeah, using all the real estate hasn't exactly worked out for Zach Novak, though. We've seen him go off a couple times.
But he's able to get that position, get the move done. And then that's the yellow Matco Tools cars. That's Steve Lane. That's Fanning. So the interesting thing about those Matco Tools cars is, oh my goodness, Novak. We talked about him using all the real estate. He used it all right there. But just to finish my note there on these Matco Tools cars, they have 5 different cars, but 3 drivers. So they kind of want to, send one to the shop, maybe get him a new paint job, and I think do a great job of rotating through all of their beautiful liveries this season. But unfortunate there for Zach Novak, just kind of forcing himself into mistakes and dropping back through the pack just a little bit.
Talking about the Matco Tools car, it's always good to have a couple cars fresh. You don't really want to risk having a bad car, obviously, in real life. In iRacing, it really doesn't matter. Or
This is the battle for fourth, by the way. Here, this is Taylor Carroll out. Or sorry, that's Peter Houston out the back, looking at Taylor Carroll.
getting a bit of a run. Obviously, that Wambo's faster on the straights. The outside.
Oh, and really try to cut the nose off there. You can't be happy with that one. It's sending up the inside now.
Off over. Cross back.
And Breyer right there as well. Another Coke Series driver.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. And contact.
A little bit ago. I don't. Hopefully that wasn't too bad.
Was that Carroll that locked it up there?
Yeah, it was Carroll. Just I don't know if he locked it up or if he just maybe got slightly in the grass on the apex there. Really just trying to keep it too close to the corner. There goes Breyer right to.
Oh, going into it, looks like Carroll clipped the grass on entry and just slid all the way across the track. So thankfully, only a little bit of contact. The rear wing looks fine. And then LaPrade got by Carroll going down that next straightaway. So definitely that battle heating up for fourth position in GT3s.
We only have 4 laps to go. How about we let's take a quick run through the field. Obviously, Christian Challoner leading GTM. I'm just kind of looking at what we have here for GTM. Then Jimmy Mullis about 20 seconds back. We haven't seen much of Archer. I think he's the lone Mercedes, and he's, really putting on a strong showing as you see him coming through Oak Tree now.
He's about 3 seconds behind Mullis. And then he's got a huge gap back to Nate Houston.
Yeah, so let's just say he's walked up third, I think, barring any sort of
Peter
mistake.
Houston.
And I don't want to commentator curse him, but it would be cool to see a battle for the podium here.
And it looks like Lee Tucker now has had an issue as he starts to, he's going to retire. He's retired from this race. He's in the pit lane as well. That's the 7th retirement in this race.
Yeah, true. Here in an attritional race, almost like what you'd see in a 24-hour race. Speaking of 24 hours, you got a new winner in here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was about to bring that up if you didn't. Yeah, Mike did win his 24 hours of Daytona split, so congratulations to you on that one. I was doing spotting for the Team Spark virtual racing car, and we came home with a top 10 overall in top split, so that was really fun to do. We were actually in the same split as, oh my goodness, running wide there.
Ryan
Pretty wide, LaPrade. And he rejoined right in front of Carroll. Oh. And Carroll was their contact, I couldn't tell. What an insane corner. Oh, and there's more contact between Carroll and LaPrade.
Yeah, these two not very happy with each other. Obviously, LaPrade kind of got cut off by Carroll there when Carroll blocked. Oh, and there we go. We were looking at a replay for a second there, I think.
Yeah, this is the replay. And just a crazy move. He's just trying to make it 3 wide, and LaPrade
just got sent off there. I mean, that
was Jack Belton there that was with them.
Terrible walk.
Just an unfortunate move there. That was a faster class car that sent him off.
Josh Clogg there, obviously second in points now, probably going to drop back to third. Ray Kingsbury just able to make a little bit more ground up in this race. Looking back at our top 3, still a Ferrari lockout here. I don't think Blake Reynolds is really within striking distance. Oh, there's the Force Ferrari. McDonald closing up on Ray Kingsbury. Can he make that move?
And a scary moment further back in the field as well. Hashimi almost collected Levi Hensley, but they're both able to keep things rolling. So this is the battle that we really want to see. Just really heating up all across the track.
This is a battle for 5th. The top 5 would be really good. I think. Yeah,
going around the outside.
Can he hold on the outside? The outside is probably the place to pass here, because you do have 3 hairpins, or not 3 left-handers after here. So as you come to the 3rd one here. But
just an incredible show for McDonald here, just showing the speed of these Renovo cars. Started 14th, worked his way all the way up to 6th, and now right in the back bumper of 5th place in Ray Kingsbury.
We call that grit. I mean, that's just never giving up from McDonald. He started off on a bad foot here, coming through that marker. That's our 3rd place in class. He loses a little bit of ground here, but
the tenacity of him will not be slowed down, as he's gonna really try hard to close up to Ray Kingsbury at top 5. I think he'd be very happy to come home with that.
Such a fun battle to watch. Ray Kingsbury, we did see him kind of collect the barrier earlier, but able to keep things rolling. Fortunately enough for him, it doesn't seem like, other than he does of course have some front end damage, but it seems like it's not impacting him too much. His last lap time was a 144.8 or 144.4 compared to Blake Reynolds right in front of him, 144.1. So that's surprising. As much as he collected the barrier, I'm surprised he's not further off the pace. Of course, Dan McDonald though just ran a 143.8, so almost 0.6 of a second faster is McDonald last lap than Kingsbury.
Yeah, I think that's just that straight line speed. We all know the Ferrari is faster overall in straight lines, and just comparing the Ford to the Chevrolet, the Ford was about 6 mile an hour faster. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Ferrari maybe being 7 or 8, maybe even close to 10 miles an hour faster on the straights than the Corvettes.
Yeah, and the thing is that 6 was when you're being optimal in the Corvette. So if you don't get a great exit, you're going to lose even more speed down the long straightaways.
Here we are looking at we're on the final lap. We didn't even realize Michael Janney, he's pulled out to a dominant lead back there. You can see Savian Ragster. He's not even a thought to Michael Janney. Had a dominant race today as he comes into the final set of corners.
A dominant day for Janney, a dominant day for Renovo Racing. They took the podium in the sprint, and they're going to do the same here in the feature.
Yeah, I mean, just a great show right now. I mean, as they come out of the second to last corner, he's going to take that really long sweeping corner. That's the final one. He's going to come across the line. Michael Janney, look at him. He's really shaking it up now, because he is, I think he's at his second win of the year in ASN. NASA on ASN.
Apex Technologies goes to Michael Janney here from Virginia International Raceway, as there's Christian Challoner working his way through.
There we go. Those are our 2 class winners. Let's see if we can find the next best battle for the win here.
This is Houston and LaPrade battling for 5th in the GT3 category, and they're going to be side by side.
He's sending it.
They're going to be side by side. Can they get the move done? Can he cross them over?
Bump and run? No. I don't know how clean that is in this series. You might have to try something.
Oh, really hammering the curves of LaPrade.
So hard.
So aggressive, but can't get the move done. What a finish there between Houston and LaPrade. What an incredible race that we saw today.
Yeah, just maybe not the greatest on-track action, but just the skill of the drivers to keep this on such a difficult track. They were able to keep so much of their car on the asphalt. We saw a couple guys make mistakes, but a lot of them were able to bounce back. I mean, even if you don't see a lot of close racing on track, even though we did see a good bit of that, just knowing about the skill and the how the drivers are reacting to the track, that's almost as exciting as a battle itself.
And Janney, Ragster, and Pandev, all 3 for Renovo Racing. Their 4th teammate, McDonald, finished 6th, as well as the top 3, all Ferraris. And then 2 Corvettes wrap up the top 5 in GT Pro. And then in the AM class, it was Challoner and Mullis, with Archer, Houston, and LaPrade wrapping up your top 5 there. 4 of those top 5, by the way, were BMWs in the AM category, with Challoner, Mullis, Houston, and LaPrade. Archer, the only non BMW there in the Mercedes.
Yeah, I noticed that all the top 5, even though there is a Mercedes in there, are all front engine cars, and maybe that was a sign that the front engine were the dominant. I mean, next, right in 6th is a Lamborghini, but after that it's a BMW, Lamborghini, and then an Audi. So and then a Lamborghini wrap out the top 10. So what, that's 6 front engine, 4 mid-engine. I think that's it's a sign.
And looks like we're getting set here to be joined by the number 91 of Savian Ragster. Savian put on a great show, a 1-2-3 finish for Renovo Racing. What were your thoughts on today's race?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. Oops, I am speeding in the pits.
Black flag for that. That's all right. Race is over. But yeah, we've had a rough first couple of rounds for me. So this is incredible to have a 1-2-3 for Renovo. We put in so much work. This is beautiful to have us up here like this.
Yeah, you guys qualified 1 through 4, and of course McDonald had the issues in the sprint, but he worked his way all the way up to 6. What does it show about just kind of the grit of this team and the determination you guys have?
Oh, it just shows that we were extremely fast this week. We had a really incredible setup built by our very own Yvonne Pandev. Thank you, Yvonne, for all the crazy hours you put in. And we had the fastest cars on track, and we drove really well.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of other guys didn't seem to really like this track. What are your thoughts on it? 'Cause it's very different compared to what we've seen so far here in GT Americas.
Personally, this is my favorite track we've gone to so far. It really reminds me of a kart track. I do a lot of karting out in California, and just all the really tight, twisty stuff where you're using the throttle a lot to rotate the car around and just kind of control the slide and that slip angle the entire time you're in that infield section. I love it. So it really caters to a style of driving that I like a lot.
Yeah, Janny really pulled away from you, but you did have Pandev, at least for a little bit during the mid race. He caught some lap traffic, and he caught right back up to you. Can you talk about that battle with him?
Yeah. To be honest, we weren't really trying to fight each other that hard as a priority. We were just prioritizing Renovo pulling out a big gap on everyone else. We were really just trying to run together and use teamwork there. Because if we started really going at it too hard, we would start losing time. But yeah, Janny is just super fast. He's killing us all. The guy needs to quit, honestly. He already won.
And last but not least, for you, any sponsors you want to thank or any shout outs you got to give?
Yeah, I just want to thank Renovo, the whole team. We're there watching. We have a big view party going on. Thank you guys for your continued support. Thanks, Yvonne. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Janny. All you guys put in so many hard hours through the week to be here, and it finally paid off. We're very happy to be up here.
Well, congratulations on a nice podium finish and a great week for Team Renovo Racing.
Thank you.
That's Savian Ragster, driver of the number 91, as we get set to be joined by the overall winner, driver of the 113 for Renovo Racing, Michael Janny. Michael, congratulations on your second win of the season.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was fantastic. Everything went right today. There were no hiccups. It was just fantastic. And I gotta say, I don't know how many battles you guys were following, but in the Renovo chat, we were keeping up on it. And Dan went from, I think, P14 to P6 at the end of the race.
Correct.
And then you got Savian second place, Yvonne third place. I mean, it was just a Renovo shutout. And, honestly, to the level I'm at right now would not be possible without all of the team support and the practice we put in each week. And just Yvonne's setups are phenomenal. It's just such a huge team effort. And at the end of the day, I think today really highlighted that. And I can't be more proud of us as a team for where we came today.
And if I remember right, last season you were not with this Renovo team. What's the adjustment been coming in and joining these guys?
Well, I went from a Porsche 911 to a Ferrari. So in the off season there was a bit of adjustments that were made. But yeah, got into it. They had the team structure already there from last season, and we spent a couple weeks kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, morphing me into the Ferrari driver. But yeah, after that, it's just smooth sailing. We all get along so well, and every week it's like a process of coordination, setup, modifications, practicing whatever we want to practice, and at the end of the day, the results really do show. So it's phenomenal. It's a big adjustment, but I like it a lot.
1 through 3 in class were all your prancing horses, and then of course, other than that, looking further back, it was 4 or 5 were Corvettes, and then you had your teammate as well in another Ferrari. But overall, it looked like just the Ferraris on this track really had speed. Did you feel the advantage over some of the Spark guys over in the Corvette?
Absolutely. I think that the Ferrari is very, very suited for VIR because it loves to just grip in the mid to high speed corners, and it just does it phenomenally. And I think with a car like a Corvette, where the setup really has a lot more downforce. We noticed in the straights we were a couple kph up, and we can get away with running less wing than the other manufacturers just because of the nature of the car and how it handles. So I think the Ferrari really came through this week, and I think it was very evident that it did.
Looking forward to next week. By the way, we go to Interlagos for the first time. We go south to South America in GT Americas. What are your thoughts on that track? Very different than what we were at today.
Very different, and I imagine the temperature of the track will be sky high. Um, it's a track that in the past I have actually had really great success in the Ferrari with. However, I haven't put in as much practice on it as I would have liked to by now. So I think this upcoming week is going to be a challenge for me to keep it consistent, because a couple of those turns on that track, mainly the sweeping turn 1, it's hit or miss. If you miss it, it's just tense down the drain. So it'll be very interesting next week. I'm looking forward to it.
And last but not least, any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, last week I gave a shout out to my family and my cousin. Same thing there, and everyone who supports me on Twitch and everything else. And I have to say that I was reminded that my first car, which was a Honda Accord, I think it was a '97, was given to me by a guy named Drake, who my dad used to work with, and he gave it to me for 3 pizzas. And ever since then, I learned to drive the car, got to it, and I have to thank him for sparking that initial car gift. I'll call it a gift because it was not worth. It was worth loads more than 3 pizzas, but
You know what? I think that we value pizza differently because pizza's definitely worth a lot in my stomach.
You're right, and I can see why he took the offer. It, it makes sense.
Well, hey, Michael, congratulations on such another great win. Great job today for you and for Renovo.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me as always, and look forward to the next race.
We will see you next week. That's Michael Janney, driver of the 113 here at Virginia International Raceway, getting set now to be joined by Jimmy Mullis, driver of the number 40 BMW for Richmond Raceway Esports. Jimmy, what a show you put on once again.
Yeah, you could call it that. I've spent most of my time taking care of the lawn out here at this track, but
You weren't the only one.
I know this place is tough, man. But happy to come away with another solid finish. I think that's the biggest gap Christian's put on all of us so far. He's again just he's nuts, man. He's just so fast. So it was fun, super challenging. So I hope it was enjoyable to watch us go mow some grass.
We got Interlagos next week. Any thoughts? It's a very different track. We talked with Janney about it, but it's a very different track. What are your thoughts on making that change?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to play out a little bit more like Canada was, Canadian Tire that is, and I think the whole field should be a lot closer. I think it's a track that's pretty easy to kind of tame. It's not going to be easy to be, elite pace or anything like that, but it should put on a really good race, and it should be really fun. So hopefully next week I can try once again to find a way to beat Christian.
Talk about your partnership there with Richmond Raceway Esports and Zach Novak as well, your teammate, because it seems like you're really doing a great job, and Zach's shown moments of promise as well. He's still, I think, getting used to the cars. But talk about your team a little bit. Tell us about how all that came together.
Yeah, so obviously with the Coca-Cola series starting up here in actually a week, Monday night is our clash to kick the season off. Me and Zach both got redrafted back to Richmond during the free agency period, and they do a great job as far as anything social media wise. They're on top of it, and it's just a really fun group to be a part of. Obviously, you may have seen this week we had a little bit of a connection with Virginia International Raceway leading up to this race, obviously because of the whole Racing Virginia concept and connection. So that's really cool, and it's just it's something special to be a part of. Me and Zach both running this league to try and get a little bit better, on the road racing side of things. And yeah, I think it's definitely helping, believe it or not.
What do you have to do to get around Christian?
Figure out how to go so fast, really. I mean, that's really all there is to it. I feel like I've had similar pace to him. He's just extremely consistent, and I find myself making a lot of mistakes, especially at tracks like tonight where I don't have near as much experience, in these cars or at this track as Christian may have. And I think it's just going to boil down to, me putting in the effort and just trying to minimize those mistakes. And I think, if I can do that, that we'll be able to battle pretty good.
And we talked about your sponsors a little bit. Any shout outs last but not least?
Yeah, of course. Thanks to you guys once again for a great broadcast. Thanks to Christian for helping me out with the setup and for hanging out with us during the race. Thanks to Zach Breyer as well for hanging out. Thanks to everybody in my Twitch chat that stuck it out with me as we went off the track plenty of times. And thanks to everybody that puts this league on. And of course, got to give a shout out to Richmond Raceway Esports, Sunoco, and SimSeats.
Well, hey, congratulations on another second place finish, and we will see you next week at Interlagos.
Thanks, buddy.
Jimmy Mullis there for Richmond Raceway Esports. And finally, a man that needs basically his own recliner. We need to get him a full couch up here in the booth because he's just making it his home. Christian Challoner once again up here in the booth after another great win.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I was kind of surprised at that, actually, if I'm honest. I felt like in practice I probably wasn't really where I wanted to be. Obviously got a good lap in qualifying, but the race pace was surprising. Obviously, like a couple of guys behind me had issues when they could have challenged. Obviously Jimmy has been close and he had a couple of issues. We also had Nate went off as well, so that kind of made life a lot easier than it probably should have been.
Coming into this season, do you think you have to at least be meeting your goals or your expectations, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, the only expectation here was to really have some fun with the classic cars. So, yeah, definitely able to do that. It's a pretty fun deal to be able to kind of unwind a bit on a Thursday. So can't complain. Everything going well so far.
Yeah, you just kind of having a leisurely drive going through there. When do you think you're gonna start moving to the back? I mean, you've been so dominant. It's been really impressive. But I mean, you think you'd be willing to move to the back just so we have a little bit of battles up front?
I mean, I'm a fan of having inverts. I would like to have some inverts actually. I do think that would be pretty fun. So, yeah, if we want to chuck an invert, and I'm more than happy to do that. I would enjoy the Challenger pass, and I mean, in most sport, pretty good battle with Jimmy, and even first lap here with Nate trying to get by. So, yeah, I think a couple of tracks we got coming up should be pretty good. I expect everybody's going to be really stuck together at Interlagos because you got two pretty long straights there that you can't really get separation on, and then Road Atlantis, a little bit the same deal. You got the backstretch, so they should kind of keep everybody together a bit more. They're probably a little bit easier tracks than the VIR is, so that helps as well. I feel like here the punishment for going off is obviously really severe. I mean, you've got a lot of grass to run off in, but it's almost like the track is up on a level above the grass. And as soon as you dip off onto the grass, you just sort of just slide off the end of the world. So it takes a really long time to get back on track. And I think it makes it a really difficult track just to drive and just to stay on. It's almost like a Nürburgring type challenge, but if the track was flat, and instead of having walls close by, you've just got like this ribbon of tarmac that's up above the grass.
Tonight's win makes you the first ever 3-time and more importantly, 3 consecutive time winner here in GT Americas. What are your thoughts on that achievement?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I always like to feed at the front, pick up wins. That's yeah. I can't really say anything more than that. I don't like to lose. That's about all.
Nobody likes to lose. I'm right with you there. And as we wrap things up here, we saw you at the beginning of the feature kind of get overtaken by another car. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but you guys were put on quite a battle. You had to work your way really hard to get around. Talk about that early battle there in the feature.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. So I'm actually I'm a bit surprised still at this this difference in straight line speed I seem to be seeing when racing against guys in Lamborghini, and I'm 100% convinced that it's something setup related. And I was actually just speaking to Nate, and I know he was running a lot more wing than I was in the BMW, and that definitely contributed to why it was kind of easy to get back by him on the straightaway. But something that guys are doing in the Lamborghini is absolutely killing its top speed, and I'm kind of intrigued as to what it is. So if anybody would like to send me a Lamborghini setup that I can have a look at and try and figure this out, because it's really perplexing me, because as far as I'm concerned, the Lamborghini is quite a good car at top end. So to see all these ones sort of struggling for straight line speed is a little bit interesting. But yeah, that battle, it was kind of obvious to me immediately that he was going to struggle to outrun me at the end of the straight. So I went side by side with him, thinking I might be able to get ahead before we even got to, say, the uphill S's. Once I realized that probably wasn't going to happen, I figured I'll just tuck in behind him and try and get him before we get to the end of the backstretch. And yeah, that worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch that early battle. You definitely ended up pulling away. Last but not least for you, Christian, anybody you want to thank? Any shout outs you got to give?
Yeah, I'd like to give you guys a shout out again for putting this on. It's obviously been a pretty fun league for me, and it's definitely an enjoyable thing to be able to turn up and have a good race. You know, it's been pretty clean. I haven't had any issues with guys passing me from the higher class and everything. So yeah, everybody involved, you guys for doing the broadcast, and everybody for organizing the league. It's a pretty fun deal.
Well, hey, congratulations on another win. We will see you next week at Interlagos.
Thank you.
That's Christian Chandler, driver of the number 78. What a great show that he put on. And what a great job by all of our drivers tonight as we wrap things up here. Mike, any final thoughts on the race?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I said it earlier, but it wasn't always the most exciting on track, but just the talent that we saw tonight of a lot of guys just trying to keep it on the track. I think that all made up for it. I think we have a lot of good momentum going into Interlagos next week, so I guess we'll see you guys then.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun one here, and thanks for joining us here from VIR for the Apex Technologies Grand Prix. Make sure to tune in next week for the Brazilian Grand Prix from Interlagos. Also, don't forget to stop by these same channels on Wednesday night for the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge. For Mike Berry and our wonderful producer Victor Vallee, I'm Chad Irvine. Race hard, race safe.